Hey, my name is Cam,
Hi, my name's Taylor.
and we're at the Greenville Swamp Rabbits game.
You're watching Post to Post.
Go Rabbits!
Hello and welcome to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey and all teams. And Mark, you've hooked me up. I got some Vegas merch here, Vegas hat, Vegas jersey. First time wearing it in a video, so thank you very, very much. Now, this is your video.
It's my video.
You've come up with this idea.
I have.
It's a good idea.
I hope so.
Something that no one else is talking about on YouTube, specifically to hockey or any other sports, I don't think.
I don't think so.
Can you explain your idea and your plan for the idea?
Certainly. I love hockey, kind of obvious, and I love aviation. I have since I was a kid. I'm a private pilot, wearing all my regalia here. This is my plane. This is my shirt. Therefore, I'm official.
Yeah, you're pretty official.
As a pilot, I like to know what's going on in the air, even when I'm not flying myself, which is most of the time I'm not flying myself. So I'll go online and I'll look at websites that show air traffic. They'll show the local traffic. If I hear a plane flying overhead, I wonder what that was, and I'll go online and look it up. And because of my love of hockey and my love of aviation, I started to become interested in the flights of hockey teams and how they get from place to place.
And you've been doing this for a while, even before we even started the channel.
Yeah. So I thought I'd propose to Neil, and he accepted the idea of doing a video about how to follow your favorite team in the air. So I'm going to give you some quick pointers and ideas on how you can be closer to your team's travel plans by following them in the air.
And it's not something that everyone's going to be interested in, but if there's even just one or two people that sparks their interest in this, they could be like, oh, that's an interesting idea. I never even thought of that, and I didn't know I could do it. Maybe I'll try it next time after a game or something.
And of all 31 teams in the NHL, 30 of them have flights that you can follow online. Only one team, and I've already told you the answer to this. So
yeah, I couldn't guess it. I guessed a few, but I was wrong.
Only one team is not permitting internet viewers to follow them online, and that's the Detroit Red Wings. And I'm not sure why, but their flight tracking is disabled. But everybody else is able to be tracked because they use regular flight numbers that you can track online, just like you could track a flight of a family member who's coming into the local airport.
Totally.
So the internet resources that have exploded online the last few years have made it possible to really be close to your teams and knowing where they are and how they get around from place to place. Wanting to understand a little bit about behind the scenes of hockey, I just thought it would be cool.
Yeah,
So here we go. Firstly, the first picture you're going to see is a photograph of an Air Canada Jets livery plane. This is an Airbus A319, and there's something different from this photo versus all the other photos that you're used to seeing. In this photo, all the seats from front to back are first-class seats.
Yeah, I did notice
They're
that.
business class type seats, so you don't have a few rows of 2 seats and then a whole bunch of rows of 3 seats for the cattle on each side of the aisle. All the plane the entire way back is business class. That's what the NHL teams fly in.
That's right.
Air Canada has an agreement with all of the 7 Canadian NHL... 7?
Yeah, 7.
Okay. Canadian NHL teams to fly them around from place to place on Air Canada Jets Airbus 319s. So the Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver all fly on Air Canada Jets planes. Now up close, the seats are fairly close together versus your fancy pods that you'll see Casey Neistat riding in these days when he flies first class on Emirates Airways.
Yeah.
But these seats are great for your 2, 3, 4 hour flights. The players can sit next to each other, play some cards, hang out.
They'll
they
be
travel
walking around and stuff too.
Oh yeah, there's lots of room to walk around. Now the planes themselves are fairly nondescript. They're a regular looking aircraft. In the case of the Air Canada planes, they have JETZ written on them, Jets. If you see an aircraft at an airport, if you're flying or just see one flying overhead, that has Jets written on it underneath the windows and underneath the Air Canada symbol, it's probably one of their charter fleet, not necessarily carrying a hockey team, mind you, but it could be. Now, this particular aircraft, if you look closely at the graphic, you see that we can identify which aircraft it is. It's CGBIK, which is Charlie Golf Bravo India
under the
Kilo.
back windows there.
Just underneath the back window in front of the tail. So you can look up that plane on the internet by that tail number and see where it's been or where it's going. So that's kind of cool. Now, in the case of CGBIK, just going back over the last week and a half, It started on the 20th of December. It started in Vancouver and flew the Canucks to San Jose. Then the next day it brought the Canucks back to Vancouver. Then Montreal came to town in a different plane, played the Canucks, and then that same aircraft, CGBIK, flew the Montreal team to Calgary, and they played in Calgary.
Right.
The aircraft waited in Calgary, flew them to Edmonton, where they played in Edmonton, and then it flew them home to Montreal. So that one aircraft flew the Canucks back and forth to California, and then flew the Montreal Canadiens back out to Montreal after they played 3 games out west.
Do you know if they have the same specific pilots for those Jets planes?
I don't. I would doubt that they do, because pilots would be scheduled according to how many hours they've flown, and if so I don't think that there's the same. They might see the same pilots over and over again, but I don't think each team would have the same pilots.
Right. Yeah.
And co-pilot.
I
and
guess
flight
what I
crew.
meant to say is, does Air Canada have specific pilots for only these chartered flights? They wouldn't go from chartered to a commercial flight back to a chartered flight, or?
I'm not sure that they wouldn't. I don't know that they would or wouldn't, actually.
Okay.
I think they'll fly where they're told. But,
Yeah, I guess.
Now, the thing with these charter flights is they don't normally use the terminals. So you won't see, if you're sitting there waiting for a flight, you're not going to see the New York Islanders all walk by in
Right.
the terminal. They might land at the same airport as other planes land at, but they'll taxi to a business aviation area.
Yeah, exactly.
Where they will be picked up by a bus that will drive onto the airport property. On the air side, they'll all get in the bus and pile the luggage in, then they'll drive away to the hotel or to the rink for their pre-game skate, game day skate. Usually that's what happens. Now, that doesn't mean you don't see the odd hockey player in an airport, as we know.
Yes, we have seen it.
We have.
Actually, at Christmas time, almost exactly
9
9 years ago.
9 years ago,
Yeah.
2008, Christmas. We were up to Montreal to watch a hockey game. We saw the Carolina Hurricanes and Montreal Canadiens, and the game was on a Sunday night, I believe. It was an oddball because it was so close to the holidays, and it was the Monday, which was like December 22nd or something, whatever day that was.
It was.
We were trying to fly home to Charlottetown through Halifax. So we were in Montreal waiting for our Halifax flight. But while we were waiting there, right in front of us walks by
Josh Georges and Carey Price.
and Carey Price's dad.
And they sat just across the walkway from us.
Yeah, they were right over there. So there's Josh and Carey and Jerry would be Carey's father. And they were just sitting, kind of one gate over and down.
Yep.
And we could see them. And thankfully, even though this was Montreal where people are hockey crazy, for the most part, they were being left alone.
Yeah, very respectful.
Yeah, it was very good. So they were by themselves. We didn't bother them either.
Nope,
we wanted to, but we
It's
didn't.
Christmas time, and they're just
Yeah, they're just trying to get home.
So.
Carey lives in interior BC, and Josh Georges does too. I think he's in Kamloops or Kelowna. So they were on the Montreal-Vancouver flight, and then from there they would scatter home and go for their family Christmases. So occasionally you will see a hockey player on a commercial flight, but usually not when they're with their team. When they're with their team, they'll go to business aviation entry ports.
That's right.
Now, when business aviation planes come and go, even if they're not using the main terminal, they may still have to clear customs. So they'll have to go through that same rigmarole that ordinary people do, because hockey players are people too. All right. Now, how do you follow the planes? Well, one of the best ways to do it is to start with the NHL schedule. Find your team. There's 31 teams. We can't go through them all, but I have a couple of examples we'll show you. Is find your team and find out where they're playing, let's say, tomorrow night. And depending on when you're watching this video, tomorrow night may be any night in the future.
Yeah.
So find out where they're playing tomorrow night or the next night, and then look for flights between the city they're in now, may not be home, they may be already on the road. Find out, just look for flights between the city that they're in and the city that they're going to. Or in particular, once you get familiar with the flight number that they usually use, you can drill down pretty easy. And I'll give you a few examples of those as well. So the best site I use is called FlightAware,
Yep, that's the one I use
FlightAware.com.
too.
It's great. When you first log on to FlightAware.com, you have a screen that allows you to do a search. And it'll show you different places where you can put searches in. I like the one at the very top of the screen, and I'm going to put a red circle around it. There, at the top of the screen in the red circle, you can see where it says search for flight and so forth. So type in the flight number, if you know it. And I'll give you a couple later. So you type it in there, hit enter, and it'll show you all the recent flights and future flights perhaps of that flight, and that could be the team. It isn't always necessarily the team. You have to do some investigation, but that could be it. Another great site is FlightRadar24.com.
Ooh, that looks fancy.
It's very fancy. The site's a little harder to navigate. It's a little less user-friendly, but it does provide you with more information than FlightAware does. For instance, they will tell you the tail number on the airplane, like that CGBIK.
Yep.
You don't get that on
FlightAware.
FlightAware. You do get it on Flight Radar 24. So similar to that, there's a search box. I'll put a red circle around that. And the search box allows you to type in the flight number or even the type of aircraft or the tail number. If you go C-GBIK and hit enter, it'll tell you where that plane is right now,
Cool.
if it's in the air or if it's on the ground. Now, once you find a flight, FlightAware will tell you after the flight has happened, the route of that flight, when it left, when it took off, and how long it was. The first one we're looking at is Air Canada 7018. That happens to be the flight number used by the Winnipeg Jets.
Okay.
So this is Winnipeg flying from Boston to New York. And in this case, it's flying from Vancouver, from Boston Airport, which is the main Logan International, to Newark, because they're playing, in this case,
Two main airports.
two main airports.
Nothing
And
unusual.
the flight was 48 minutes in total. They left, it tells you the time they left. They were scheduled to leave at 9:35 Eastern. That was the time they filed the flight plan for.
Mm-hmm.
They actually left almost 2 hours after that, which is
Ooh.
probably more realistic. But then they get into Newark just a little bit after midnight, 17 minutes after midnight Eastern time. So they actually land the following day officially. So from Newark, they would probably go to a hotel. Normally what teams do is fly out the night of the game. So
Yeah.
no matter where they are, if they have a game the next day especially, when they're done playing that hockey game, they're in the bus after the showers and straight to the airport and they're flying out.
Yeah.
They want to get to their other destination. They don't want to go back to a hotel and do the whole luggage packing thing
Yeah.
and all that for the next day departure. They just go. So they get into the destination hotel that night. The next day they'll have their pregame skate, or the day after, and then the same routine will throw itself all over again. Now here's one where the Anaheim Ducks are flying from New York going to Pittsburgh. So they leave JFK. This is back on Friday, December 22nd. They left JFK flying to Pittsburgh. And
That's a strange flight path.
yeah, it is, and it could be, I don't know if it's for weather or not. Maybe there was worse weather in the south when the flight actually happened. When I took this screenshot later, the weather was all to the north, but it was probably to divert around weather, I would think. And they land in Pittsburgh. That particular flight is only 1 hour and 11 minutes. So that's pretty cool. But that was and that's Delta 8946. That's a flight number usually associated with the Anaheim Ducks.
Okay.
So if you're an Anaheim fan, remember that, Delta 8946. There's 31 teams. We can't go through them all,
Right.
but those are a couple. All right, so how do you find out when to start looking for airplanes? Look at the schedule. So looking at this hockey schedule, this is from late November in through to late December for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa Bay played at Buffalo and at Boston at the end of November. Then they had a 4-game homestand. And then starting on Tuesday, December 12th, they were back on the road in St. Louis, Arizona, Colorado, and Vegas, and then back for a homestand. If you go to the flights for their particular plane, which is the Tampa Bay Lightning's plane, is always BSK 395.
Okay.
Which is Miami International, or Biscayne 395. If you go back to BSK 395 and look at the history of that plane, you'll see it went to all these places. And all those places, Las Vegas, the most recent flight back to Tampa, but prior to that, they flew from Denver to Vegas. Prior to that, they flew from Phoenix to Denver. Prior to that, they flew from St. Louis to Phoenix. And you can look back in time over those flights, and they match up with the NHL schedule. There is no doubt that this is the Tampa Bay Lightning's plane. You have to do a little sleuthing sometimes, but that's the fun of it.
Yeah, it's the investigative kind of work too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's another one, Delta Airlines, DAL 8948. Now you'll see in this case, this is a plane that went from San Jose to Los Angeles, and then from Los Angeles to San Jose, and then from San Jose to Los Angeles again. This is all on the 22nd and 23rd of December. So this is I think this is the Kings plane that's going back 8948. Let's look at Los Angeles Kings. Yeah, that's the Los Angeles Kings flight, Delta 8948. That's what they'll almost always use. Some of these things change.
Yeah,
That's the
you
problem with doing this video.
Can't predict everything, but
Can't predict
you just
everything.
give little pieces of information.
Yeah. Now here's an interesting couple of screens. These are screens for the New Jersey Devils and the Ottawa Senators. Now, if you look at them both, it's hard to look at them both side by side. The New Jersey Devils, you'll see this big long list because they use the same flight number for all flights, both into and out of each city. Whereas when Ottawa flies, they have a different flight number for the outbound leg versus the inbound leg.
Okay.
So,
a little more complicated.
right. Ottawa uses 7047 for flights coming usually in one direction, and they'll use 7048 for flights in the other direction. Whereas New Jersey will use their flight, the New Jersey Devils, they use BSK 399 basically all the time, or almost all the time. You'll notice that both planes are in an interesting location around the late September. Okay, the New Jersey plane, you see it in Charlottetown.
Heck yeah.
Because they flew into Charlottetown for the
Hockey Day in Canada.
Craft Hockeyville.
Craft Hockeyville, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Craft Hockeyville.
And if you look back to the same date, the Ottawa Senators flew from Ottawa McDonald-Cartier Airport to Charlottetown right around the same day.
Boom.
So Ottawa landed a few hours before New Jersey, and New Jersey, I think, left an hour or so ahead of Ottawa on the way home that night. Again, they played the Craft Hockeyville game in Summerside. Both teams piled up into buses, headed back to Charlottetown, and flew out right away. They were gone. So by the time most of the fans, including us, were relaxed and home and looking at the highlights, the teams were already gone.
Yeah, already in the air pretty much.
Yeah. But you can see how they both match together. You know, this is the perfect example of following a team to a place that's not normally a hockey NHL type destination. Now, one of the last things I want to talk about is the airports themselves that are used by these teams. You would think that the New York Rangers would fly to JFK.
Yep.
You would think that the New Jersey Devils fly to Newark and so on and so forth. For the most part, those guesses are going to be right. But in the case of the Rangers, it's not right. If you look at a map of the metropolitan New York area, including most of Long Island and over into New Jersey, you'll see all the airports that are available. The New York Islanders fly out of Republic Airport, which is that one that's on the far right on the screen. Republic Airport is out in Farmingdale, Long Island. And it's not a huge airport, but they do have a runway that's almost 7,000 feet long, so it'll accommodate bigger planes. And the Islanders and some of the Islanders' opponent teams will fly in and out of Republic Airport instead of one of the major ones in the city. It's a lot easier to get in and out of.
Yeah, it's a little closer.
A little closer. And, of course, when the Islanders move to their new location at Belmont in a couple of years' time, Republic Airport won't be that far away at all. It'll be a really attractive place to fly in and out of if you're an NHL team. The Islanders fly there. The Rangers fly in and out of an airport that's not even on this map. It's farther north than this map. It's up in a place called White Plains. It's up in Westchester County. And it's way up there, and that's where the Rangers fly in and out of when they play. And you'd say, like, how come if Manhattan is so far to the south, why would they fly in and out of way up there? Well, I think some of the reason, I don't know this, a lot of the players live up that way.
Yeah,
so if you're coming back off a big road trip, some of the players do have apartments down in the city. That's fine. But a lot of players would live in Connecticut. The Connecticut border is right on the border of the Westchester County Airport in White Plains. Some of them live in Connecticut. Some of them live in Yonkers or up in, just not, I won't say upstate New York, but north of the city.
Right.
And some might even live over in New Jersey. So transportation-wise on the ground, it's a lot easier to get in and out of Westchester County Airport. The New Jersey Devils usually use Newark. There's a few other oddball places. St. Louis is a perfect example. There are several airports around St. Louis. If you look at this Google map, you'll see that St. Louis Lambert International is in the northwest part of the city, but the Blues don't use that airport. Some of the other teams do, but the Blues don't. The Blues don't use an airport that's on this map. You have to drill a little deeper and find that they use this one near Cahokia, Illinois.
Oh.
Now, it's considered part of the St. Louis metropolitan area,
right?
But that's where the Blues fly in and out of. And it's called the St. Louis Downtown Airport. And their flight is Swift Air 2323 sometimes. Now, occasionally St. Louis will use Lambert International. It doesn't always happen to be the same.
I think most of us have something to do with the amount of traffic that those big airports get in general. They don't want to have to wait behind a bunch of commercial flights to take off or anything. So.
That's right. So that's essentially my main pointers on trying to follow your team and just teams in general, and what NHL teams and players have to go through when they are flying through their lives and through their hockey schedule. It's a very hectic life being a hockey player.
Totally, you're always on the go.
Always on the go, and there are times when you probably don't even know where you are. You're
probably not. Yeah.
Okay, where are we now? Where if you fly into JFK, for instance. You could be playing against any one of 3 different teams or all 3. Like, who do we play the first? Is it the Rangers first on the Islanders tomorrow night, or is it they're like, I don't know. I imagine it can be that crazy.
Probably can, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm sure they're all happy to get home when they get home. You'll see airports all scattered around metro areas like Los Angeles. You've got Long Beach, you've got LAX, you've got other airports that they may be, John Wayne, they may be in and out of a bunch of them. So you got to watch it closely. If you're a fan of a hockey team and you're interested in a particular hockey team, I think hopefully with what we've already done is provide you with enough background information to get a head start on finding your team's flight. Yeah. If you just put in St. Louis Blues charter flight number in Google, you're probably going to find it.
Could be, yeah.
And if you still don't know after watching this video, just watch the video again.
Yeah, it does require a little bit of investigative work on your part, but we can give you a little bit of the tools to help you go and find some stuff on your own. And yeah, it's a good idea.
It's a lot of fun.
Thanks for sharing.
Alrighty.
Yeah, so thanks guys for watching. We really appreciate it. If you did like this video, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. And if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments and we'll do our best to answer them for you. So thanks for watching and we'll see you next time. Adios.